After traveling for work for more than 45 minutes in a day, for every 15-minute increase in your travel time, that led to approximately some 20% increase in divorce rates.
Really?
Yes, that city is essentially like a chip, right? There are places where people go, and there are, facilities which connect people and places, which are roads and highways and things like that. See, again, this is one sector which is very corrupt. Right, this and
yes, I wanted to ask you about
this
that.
and the infra sector. Real estate and infra is where all the corruption lies. 90% of corruption lies here, right?
You remember this movie Khosla Ka Ghosla?
I heard about it. I didn't watch.
You have to watch it.
It's around this topic.
Of course, it has defined such a generation. I would say at least there's such a fear of builders and people from real estate.
I keep saying to my friends,
they're crooks.
Always, yeah, they are.
Ajitesh, very happy to be talking to you. First let's begin with the beginning and tell us about ASBL. You're the founder of the company and it's a very different technology company in the real estate.
Yes.
So take us through the origin. Tell us the story.
Firstly, Shradha, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak, to converse with you and reach out to the broader audience through you. So to put it a little bit about ASBL, we are not a real estate company we are not a typical real estate company. We are a technology company in real estate field, right? By that, what I mean is we have around 110 IT engineers, right? Software engineers who develop technology for us, digital twin technology, to be a little more precise. And, we've been experimenting with various... See, the thing with this industry is that technology is used by lot of people, laborers, right, who are not very well, they're subject matter experts in their field. So we have a dedicated team of IT engineers who develop technology like digital twin technology for us. And we've been experimenting, doing almost iterations like, 2 or 3 every month. And then we have eventually perfected our technology to a good standard that it's almost giving 20-25% more productivity. So that's a little bit on the tech side. But my own journey, if I would like to say, so I come from a real estate family background. My father has been in this field from almost 35 years now, 1989. That was a year before I was born. So from 2000 onwards, I was going with him to sites just like after school. Maybe I have to pick him up or drop lunch to him or something like that. So I was aware of, growing up, I was aware of all the problems which typically happened around construction. And then when I started my stint at it, I realized that everything around delivery is where the real problems in the industry are. Right, I used to see my father, in those days, like when we used to enter the site, he used to ask his project manager, how is everything? And he used to say, everything is good. And after 15 years, the meeting used to be very hot. I was like, if everything is good, how can it be so hot? How can people be, probably shouting and things like that? Then I realized that first I thought maybe the engineers are not working, but eventually once I started working, I realized my dad was asking the wrong question. In a construction project, you can't ask us a totally vague question like that. You need to be more specific. It's like asking you about your health, right? It doesn't really, how are you doing? I'm fine. Doesn't mean, you don't have any problems or anything like that. It doesn't. So it's a similar thing like that. So growing up, I understood that the big challenge in this industry is around delivery. And to deliver, intentions are not sufficient, because I see a lot of builders, and that includes myself and everyone. We talk a lot of I've got the best of the intention to deliver the product to you on time, but intentions are not sufficient. You need intelligence, right? And if you look at intelligence stems from data, and if you need data, you need a digital ecosystem to capture the data, right? So that's what we do in a nutshell. So we built, a digital twin system which captures data on a real-time basis. Hence, we can build insights and intelligence around what's happening on site, and then how do you course correct, how do you do things better.
So Ajitesh, now, I know that you've done major in economics and minor in maths. So I'm going to now get you to explain this to me, like help it simplify for a layman. Because, I'm not from, and many of us watching, we might look at buying a real estate property. We know of builders, but if I have to understand exactly what a construction project would be, and what are the challenges which people would face, and how then the tech that you're using exactly solves it.
Okay, so I'll explain bit by bit.
Yeah, consider us children.
Okay. Okay. So essentially, right, in the construction industry, the major how things happen on site is that there are a group of laborers, right? There will be heterogeneous groups. Matlab, one group is doing concreting work, one group is doing plumbing work. On an average, you have around 50 to 60 group of laborers, different activities which happen at different points of time, right? Matlab, I cannot go and do brickwork before I finish my concreting, right? So different activities at different points of time at different locations. Matlab, on one day I can do on flat number 1, other day I need to do on flat number 280 or something like that. So what happens on a day-to-day basis is these labor gangs come to the site, and the project manager or the tower in charge, whoever is the responsible guy there, the manager there, he allots them work. Okay, boss, you 10 people go to this flat, you 20 people go to that particular basement, or you 10 people go to the terrace or something like that. So when this particular person is allotting works, right, he or she also is not totally cognizant of where all can these people be sent, because there won't be 1 or 2 locations where you can send them. There will be almost all in modern construction, there will be like 1,000 odd locations where you can send them, right? But human mind cannot compute 1,000 locations at the same point of time. So that's one area where technology can add value. Now, because this thing is being done by the human, the best efficiency we can get is 30 to 40%, because when the laborers come, it's not that laborers everybody come at sharp 8 o'clock. They start coming from 8 to probably 11 o'clock, and after 8 to after maybe half an hour the engineer has gone into the site for his rounds or for some quality check, then the laborers keep waiting until he comes back and allots work. So there's a lot of gross inefficiency. And these laborers, they wait, they lose a lot of time in just waiting to be told where the work needs to be done. So in a nutshell, what we have done at ASBL is digitized that and automated that process. So today, none of our project managers or our tower managers tell gangs of laborers where they should go. Our system decides based on the real-time data what it receives. It tells them where to go.
Very efficient.
Very efficient.
It brings efficiency.
Yes, you don't need to do waiting.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like waiting outside a doctor's office.
Very
we
nice.
have banned that.
No, now that you're saying this, I remember that you see a lot of workers standing outside a construction.
Site, right?
Yeah.
This is essentially
waiting. Yes.
Yeah. And because of this, what happens is, essentially waiting is like a dead weight loss. Nobody gains money out of it. So hence your labor cost goes up.
Yes.
Right? And hence the productivity comes down, and then you have to end of the day charge your customer more. So a factor of input cost goes up. So using this technology, and then again it has to be very easy. Right now I cannot give some crazy looking algorithm to my laborers. They won't understand. So here we took inspiration from the traffic signal. It's something which the world understands. Right? Red, green, and probably yellow. So we just made a color system, again inspired from traffic signal and Kanban systems. So in our company, blue means you can go there and do work. You don't need to ask anybody. And all our laborers are using smartphone, hence they use WhatsApp. So our system defaultly takes yesterday night's data and automatically sends it to their WhatsApp. So you don't need to ask anybody. You'll just look at your WhatsApp on the phone. Wherever there's blue, go and work. Wherever there's red, it means work is completed. There's a quality issue, finish it and take your payment.
Wow.
So that brought about around 25%
But this is so innovative. You have to be in this space so clued in to actually figure out.
Yes.
This is so simple, but this makes it so productive and efficient.
It took us 46 iterations to reach there over a span of 6 years. And initial iterations were like, when those were the early days of my career when I was 23 years old, we used to order biryanis and eat it on top of the slab. But still observe, this was in the night times, right? Even if you're ordering food, we were just eating on the slabs to see exactly how work happens. You need to get into the skin of it. Like, who does what, like how does that last mile work happen? So after 46 iterations, we have reached a stable version. Now also there are some changes, but I would say 90% it's stable.
But this is so good. And it's, sorry to ask this, but is this like one of the first solutions of its kind in the world?
Yes, in terms of its depth, yes, it is. There's nothing parallel to it in the world. In fact, now the technology what we made, we are even selling in the US as a SaaS product.
Wow.
And we've got around 5 to 6 clients, 250,000 annual subscription revenue.
Wow.
Right? And we just started 9 months back. I hope that also scales. Right? So it's world over what's happening is, if you look at the IT industry, right? Real efficiencies came in over the last 20 years when they shifted from the typical waterfall model to the agile model, what we call. Now every development is agile, right? So same way what's happening in the field engineering, the construction industry also, is something called AWP, Advanced Work Packaging. right? It's essentially talks about very nitty-gritty, very minute details of work. Initially, the industry talks at a very broad level that concreting as one work, but there are n number of sub-work packages which happen there at different points of time. So getting into work packaging is something, which is world over at a very, I would say, nascent stages. And this is the future of the industry world over, and we are one of the cutting-edge solution providers in that space.
Wow. But this is very impressive. Now I understand exactly. Yeah. And also for the laborers and the workers, it's very good because they get employment and they also don't waste their time.
Exactly. It's what Uber has done to the taxi drivers.
Yeah.
What used to happen before that? You used to call the taxi company and some half an hour ke baad cab aa raha tha. Now it's just like, you click a button, maybe 5-7 minutes when the cab is coming and you know when it's coming. So that you can, get down at the right time. So it's just the same thing what we have done in a construction site.
Wow. Now that brings me to the question, and I think you're the right person to ask this, is that I look at the cities that we have in India and the construction and the housings and just the lay of the land. When it comes to, and now we are talking about smart cities, what do you think would be the future? Which a good future, because now we have good roads and good infrastructures. But when you look at buildings and properties, real estate, how can we build for the future? Are we first building for the future? How can we build for the future? And what do you have to say about smart cities?
Okay, so this I would say is an essay type question, but let me answer it.
Yeah, we are all going to learn from you.
Let me share my knowledge in this slide. So basically, definitely the vision of the government around smart cities is good, and it's something which, the future is headed in that direction. But where the vision also has to be expanded a little. So currently when the government is working on a smart city level understanding and things like that, they're principally at the level of quantification of services. Right? What happens in a city? In a city, essentially, government offers several services to its citizens in something like electricity, water, security, and all these sort of services. So in the current phase of smart cities, where the entire ministries or everybody you see doing across the country is more got to do with, how much electricity you consumed. So that once you build more quantification, you can build more awareness around it. That's what the vision of the future, the smart city is predominantly revolving around. But I feel we need to get into the phase 2 of it as well. The phase 2 involves a lot around walkability and reaching and the impact of services, how quickly one can reach out to services, right? Let's look at it from this point of view, right? A wealthy citizen, right, wants what? He wants more services, right? That's why you see people migrating to cities which offer more services, right? Now, one is the aspect of service, accessibility. Next is even the walkability. So how you reach the service. So our cities are not built around walkability. If you look across all cities, like Bombay, I've walked around in Bombay, and Bangalore, I keep visiting here, so I walk around Bangalore, Hyderabad. You just can't walk in our cities. One, either the footpath is encroached, or there is a big tree in the middle of footpath, there's no way to walk. Right now, the tree is mandatory because it provides shade. The problem is the footpath is only 6 feet wide. In several cases, that's non-existent. I think we need to have 15 to 20 feet footpath so that you can walk, and then the tree provides the shade. And most of the buildings, if you look at mid to high dense neighborhoods, you need a lot of the buildings in the ground and first floor to have mixed use zoning, right? It can be a commercial shop, it can be something like a creche, a facility which is used by urban people a lot. It can be a supermarket, it can be anything on earth. We don't know what it is. So we need to create the mixed use zoning and bring in the walkability. That will greatly enhance the livability quotient in the city. See, with respect to roads, because I always see in the public discourse that people talk a lot around bigger roads. Right? Bigger roads are good for intercity connectivity, not for within the city. Within the city, see, building bigger roads is one of the best way to increase the traffic problem. The bigger the road you build, more is the traffic which goes on that, and more is the traffic jam which happens. So what we are seeing, footpaths being destroyed for roads. Rather, it should be the other way around. Remove a lane and add more footpath space. Pedestrian safety and pedestrian, access, if it becomes better, that I believe is the next phase of should be the vision of smart cities, and mixed use zoning should be brought in, because in India the zoning is very tight. Same like in the US also it's very tight. Like you've got a very homogeneous structure. Okay, this entire parcel of land is only single family zoning or a low density zoning, and then nobody, and then you can't do any other thing there. You can't build a sort of a commercial space in between. Let me share some insights. Right, there's a book I was reading called Happy Cities, in which sociologists did an experiment that and the result of that was after traveling for work for more than 45 minutes in a day, for every 15-minute increase in your travel time, that led to approximately some 20% increase in divorce rates.
Really?
Yes. And what people don't realize is the design of your space, right, which is your house, your community, and your city, has a huge impact on your mental and your mental well-being, which people don't realize. Like for example, in several places in the US now, there's a lot of research which has come out in this line, because US has a predominantly single-family home structure. So low-density houses, just spread across vast tranches of land. Right, because it had so low density, now commercial establishments couldn't find a good number of customers. Hence, the commercial establishments couldn't come. By commercial establishments, essentially human life needs 3 spaces. The first space is called your home. Second space is your space of work. The third space is your space of recreation, right? Any social space, entertainment space. So social space and entertainment spaces thrive on higher residential density. If less number of people are staying there, then these spaces don't come. And because these spaces don't come, you have no outside space to go and meet people. Hence, you don't meet people. Hence, you're lonely. It's a very vicious cycle. And now America is realizing this. And then sooner or later, it's going to probably, they should be changing their, course of action. And a lot of urban designers are now suggesting the future is compact cities, not, vast spread cities or sprawl, what we call. So this is something I feel should be picked up in our smart city mission. It's not just around efficient utilization of resources like electricity and water and sewage. It should be around the entire quality of life, well-being, walkability. Because see, what we don't realize is mental life is hugely impacted by the space. It's just that we don't attribute it to that.
Of course.
Right? And there are again a lot of statistics and all, where people stayed in more lonelier neighborhoods. There was more extensive use of drugs and more chances of getting into criminal activities versus staying in little better off neighborhoods, or which had what was the better off neighborhood, which had more density and more third spaces. So, and also if you look at Indian cities, particularly if you look at Hyderabad or Bangalore, which evolved out of the knowledge economy, right? Most of the real estate in these 2 cities evolved because of the knowledge economy. So in the past, what governments used to do is to acquire large tranches of land and give it out to software companies. Boss, you come and build your an IT campus or something like that. And because the land was free or very reasonable prices, these corporates can come and build good offices, and then talent started coming in. The future, this model is not going to sustain. The future, the knowledgeable person, or the knowledge economy worker, who is a high skilled and high wage earning worker, he needs more services. It doesn't matter whether it's in Bangalore or in Bombay or Hyderabad. Wherever there are more services, he's going to gravitate there. Wherever he or she is gravitating, the economy is going to improve there. So the future competition is not only on giving out land subsidies, but on improving the entire third space, what I call. The social, now cities are going to compete for the social life.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what we are heading. And whichever government has better policies, they end up winning.
Yeah, but this is such an insight. And I'm sure this is for many of us, this is like getting us to think, because we are just living and not thinking about our, environment.
If I may just add, you see where governments have done a good job is that now governments have done a very good job with regarding to building designs. Okay, the amount of FSI, setbacks and all. That's why you see within the compound wall, the designs are good, the quality of life is good. But outside the compound wall, which is essentially your neighborhood and city, they have not done much. So that's where now citizens need to push them, hence they will also get better.
Ajitesh, you made a very important point on walkability. And I also think that it also brings me to sustainability. And, I was recently in this Titan building in Bangalore, which is a green certified building. And, you just enter and there is... the temperature only feels very different. 5-6 degrees
and
they're not using AC at all. what do you have to say about building very sustainable infrastructure?
See, that's the future, Shraddha, because see, the entire construction industry is one of the major, carbon, footprint contributor, right? So, and concrete is one of the major materials in that. So definitely now that sustainability is on the rise, we all need to come up with better solution. My particular take on it for probably the next 1-2 years is reducing wastage, because there's an enormous amount of wastage which happens in the construction sector. So using technology, my first attempt is to reduce the wastage. Second thing, through better design, right, you can get a lot of natural light and ventilation, though in our climatic condition which are more hot, so more lighting also means more ACs sometimes. But design, so there is sustainability at a design level, right? So architectural design level, there is sustainability in your practice, that is saving, don't consume, don't waste materials. And third thing is sustainability at a city scale, where you don't you use the vehicle a lot less, because cars contribute to one of the major amount of pollutants within a city life, right? So integrating these three things will definitely give rise to much better formats of future lifestyle what cities can offer.
Yeah, but there's such an important concept that you brought: happiness, happy cities,
Yes.
happiness.
You see, imagine real estate is, let's look at, you see, real estate is like, I always say we are the hardware industry, we are the hardware guys, right? And I always compare ourselves to the transistors, the chip, right? The chip in all your laptops and phones. The first version of it was very basic and hardly it could perform any computation. The current version is so, not even like, it's miniaturized in a nanoscale and it can perform way more complicated functions. So much amount of innovation has happened at a chip, but not at a city scale. A city is essentially like a chip, right? There are places where people go, and there are facilities which connect people and places, which are roads and highways and things like that. So a lot more research has to happen there. Hence, we can also become like a very efficient transistor, which can offer better quality of life.
Yeah. How do you think that the civil society can contribute to happier city?
So one main thing is I see from the civil society perspective is there is very limited understanding of the role of a city. I wouldn't use the word well planned, because the minute I say well planned, people get into all sort of crazy restrictive policies. But I would say a well designed city. So there's very, very limited understanding in the citizenry, like at a civil level. So people need to read about those, or probably improve their knowledge about that. Slowly it's coming up.
I think you can take the championship of, you should lead the way, because your understanding is quite deep in this. You could build a community and get the civilians to come and think about it.
I would love to do that actually. Maybe I should. Yeah, because one, it is our industry, and second, I see it has a vast impact on people's life.
Yeah.
People are slowly begun doing it, right? But in a reactive phase, like how we see it, like I see in Bangalore news editions and all, where I see generally, lakes are getting dried or over polluted. I see a lot of frothing of lakes. And then we set up a reactionary process. Okay, we try to, course correct the lake and probably rehabilitate it or things like that. But this is done on a reactive basis. Like after the lake is dead, we want to revive it. Yeah. But once we look at it from a city design perspective, we'll start doing it proactively. We won't even allow the lake to die in the first place. Right? We would have planned our sewage system very well. See, why are the lakes dying? One major reason is the sewage water is coming into it. Right? Then in the first case, why was the sewage designed? Because nobody thought about it that way. So we need to think about it from, we see, like even like Indian society, right? We are now seeing wealth, and we are now, our quality of life is getting better. Hence, in the past, shelter was all that mattered. Now it's not shelter. It's several other add-on services, like you want cleaner air, you want safety, security, several things like that. So hence, I think now this trend is going to pick up. But yes, I would definitely want to, converse with public a lot more on the importance of having a very good city. That will greatly, increase your happiness and things like that. And also, see, again, this is one sector which is very corrupt. Right? This and
yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
And the infra sector. Yeah. Real estate and infra is where all the corruption lies. 90% of corruption lies here, right? So a lot of it is there because of the restrictive policies. So whenever you put, even in class, you see, if you have too many don't do's, the kids end of the day don't listen to it, and they'll always find ways to work around. It's the same thing.
What are some of the restrictive policies you would say?
So one I would say is zone restriction. Next I would say FSI restriction. Yes, there needs to be a broad policy on FSI, but it cannot be, ye gali mein I'll get 2 FSI, or maybe I'll build 10.
Kitna purana hai ye sara policies?
Probably 20, 30 years, or some of them might even be from the time of independence.
Wow.
So there hasn't been much changes in our urban policy from back in the day. Right? So restrictive FSI is a major. So imagine, let's say you and I have a land. Right? Just because mine is somewhere in the same vicinity and mine is maybe abutting something, I get 10 times more built up space than yours. Naturally, there is incentive for you to bribe somebody and get the policy changed, right? So we need to get done with those restrictive policies. We need to have broad policies. And you see in the city design scape, one, there is very little activity happening in the ministries and all over, whatever is the government think tank around it. Second, there is very little public participation in that. Because ultimately you're designing for the public. So their participation also has to go up. And we need to have good broad policies, not plot level policies, which will, the more restrictive it is, the more corruption it will lead to. So once that goes up, right, then I think the industry, because see, the problem with the industry is we hardly spend any time on product development. There's no concept of product development in this industry. You get the land, you got everything. Right? I get the land, some third party guy I'll tell design, some other guy I'll tell you build, some other guy I'll tell you sell. What am I doing? I'm just getting land. Because getting land has become, it's becoming such an important thing.
Yeah.
By land, I'm not just meaning the land, but even the approval, the amount of space you can build on that, or things like that. If you bring in consistent and fair practices there, then the focus of the entrepreneur will shift from everything sourcing of your raw material, which is land, to the product development. What is it that my consumers want? How do I think about their lifestyle? How does a 30-year person think? How does a 40-year person think? All of those sort of things will come in. So we'll become very product centric. And see, we are selling the most influential product in a consumer's life, 10 times more influential than your iPhone. Just that, one, as an industry, we have failed to see it that way. And as a broader ecosystem, that's not the expectation.
But this is, I'm so now getting into this conversation because this is so important for everyone. And I'm just thinking as, and everyone who will be watching us or hearing this, we don't participate in that. We think about our own, या तो हमारा घर पहले से आ रहा है, parents का है, या जो हम घर लेते हैं तो we are only thinking about that space, and I don't know how much we are even thinking about that space, but the space outside as a city, as our areas, our localities.
That's not being thought through.
Yeah.
Right? Like for example, you take an iPhone, right? There's so much amount of product marketing which happens. Like you talk with any, reasonable iPhone enthusiast, he'll tell you about 10 features of it. Can people talk about their home in the perspective of a feature? I don't think anybody can. Maximum will get to the level of Vastu, little bit here and there, but there are way more parameters in that.
We will talk about things we have collected in the house rather than
not the
house. Yeah.
Right? So that's where I feel like overall the amount of conscience, both from the developer, the customer, and the government has to come up, because we're dealing with the most important product in consumer's life.
If you had to, Ajitesh, tomorrow if you were, I have an interesting question. Like tomorrow if you had the power, the superpower, how would you say that the government, the builders and the civil society, how can all come together to create a happy city? What can we do?
Okay, I would say first is maybe establishing like a, biannual conferences where you bring in architects, citizens, right? Government, because government, we don't realize government provides 90% of the services, right? So as a developer, I'm just providing the house and the required infrastructure there. But after I leave, security at a city scale is provided by the government, right? Water for the community is provided by the government. Road is by the government. So all these three stakeholders should come and have more like a quarterly, like imagine like there are a lot of chapters, right? There's Kradai, which is Builders Association ka chapters. Now these are siloed by the industry itself. Now there's no public representation in that. Hence, most of the discussions, what we do there is around taxation and, from business standpoint, something which impacts the top line or bottom line. But there is no product perspective. Hence, we need to bring in architect, urban designers, public, government, developers, and do, whole think tanks and, research at a city scale quarterly once and at a national scale, pan-India once, to, build the awareness. And then eventually it will start spreading from there.
You have so much of passion and vision around this, and I'm so happy to be doing this conversation. Actually this needs an India with its 1.4 billion people.
Yeah, it needs that.
We are not getting more land.
Exactly. And see, and slowly you see the narrative also, Shradha, is shifting away. See, if you look 20 years back or 30 years, like probably 20 years for me because I'm now 33. So last 20 years I can remember was around the basic things of roti, makan, kapda was maybe my father level. Then was sadak, pani, bijli. But now it's changing. We want more. because we have the buying power, and naturally we would want better quality of life. So that's where the narrative has to change now.
Are builders today as a community more aware in terms of keeping the greenery intact?
Yes, definitely there's a lot of improvement in that direction. See, just like a lot of other industries, this industry too has gone through its own cycle, where like people with probably no background into the industry anybody could become a builder, right? And there's no problem with that. I mean, I would say always the entries to any market should be open.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the person who's coming in should be skillful, right? So there were a lot of fly-by-night operators who came, operated, they lost money. And as a builder, when you lose money, okay, one is as a business you might lose money, but you impact somebody's financial life for 10 years. 10 to 15 years. Let's say I made a phone. Let's say I made iPhone and the iPhone is bad. You're going to curse me for like 2-3 days and just leave it, right? Because it's not going to impact your life more than that. Probably a month after you'll buy a new phone. But what you bought a house and have not delivered for 10 years, what's going to happen? 10 years you'll be paying your EMI and that decade of financial life is gone.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of this fly-by-night operators, or I would say even not very thought through builders, right, who are not very serious about what they were doing.
You remember this movie Khosla Ka Ghosla?
I heard about it. I didn't watch
You have to watch it.
It's around
because
this
I
topic.
think, of course, it has defined such a generation. I would say at least there's such a fear of builders and people from real estate.
I keep saying to my friends,
they're crooks.
Always, yeah, they are. I keep saying to my friend that in America, the bankers, and in India, the builders, they're not respected. Probably people will shoot them. Like that's the general narrative. America, I studied there in 2010. That's post the financial collapse. They hated the banker because they were seeing the banker as somebody who came to rob their money.
Yeah.
In India, it's the builders.
Yeah.
You invest with somebody, you get 10 years after handover, that decade is gone.
But Ajitesh, also rightfully so, no? Because builders to a large extent have also not been very, like
Absolutely.
you're saying.
Yes, they weren't.
Yeah.
And this is where I would say the progressive reforms like RERA. RERA is a very progressive reform, and I see any reform will have 10% teething issues. We should not judge it on that basis. Of course, there'll be scope of improvement. But RERA has made sure that most of the fly-by-night operators or people who are not very serious about the business are winding up the shop. Right? And parallelly, another very important structural reform which has happened in this context is the IBC and NCLT issue. Because a lot of infra and real estate people, we pledge assets and we borrow. Right? Now with the IBC and NCLT reforms, if I don't execute my project, my assets are gone. So I'm much more glued to my work. Versus in the past, I used to just borrow on probably my imagination. And then if it's not working out, take light. But now that's not, I'm going to lose my assets now.
Yeah, very good.
So RERA in combination with the IBC, banking reforms is greatly cleaning up the industry.
So we are in a new India.
Yes, we are in a new India, and this is even reflected in the market share of the organized players is going up. And definitely now there's more to do for developers also. It's not that, okay, we are all good. Right? There is a lot more to improve, especially from the product centricity. We need to do a lot more product research, which type of people use what type of floor plans. And to that level, we should develop and design, become more product centric.
But what you're saying is that it is not that bad that it was.
It's cleaning up.
Yeah.
Definitely there's scope for improvement, but we are headed in the right direction. And another good thing also, Shradha, see what's happening is there are a lot of reforms which are passed at the input level. See, what is an input for a developer? It's the land. Think about like for a miner, if I'm a coal miner, I might be the best miner in the world. I don't have a coal mine. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Nothing. So for developer, it's the land. So there is a lot of reforms which are being passed at the land, title level, land ownership level reforms. Lot more data is now digitized at at every city level and stuff like that. Because of which now the entrepreneur in this industry need not spend that much time with the local goons or politicians or any local henchmen there. Right? So a cleaner entrepreneur is coming into the sector. So that is also adding great value.
I want to change the subject to this, is that there are two stories that, and I've interacted with people from both point of views. One is saying that, like, look at the home loans people are taking. So that means people are buying a lot of real estate and buildings and assets and properties. And the other one says that the Gen Z today is not into asset accumulation. So they're not buying, they're happy renting. And I'm sure in India, such a large country, the truth, both could be true. But what do you see the trend in terms of owning an asset?
See, essentially the thing with this question is the way it's seen is, I wouldn't agree with that. So if you look at World Economic Forum, right, I'm not remembering the data points exactly, but they mentioned somewhere by late 2020s or 2030, the world will stop buying houses. They gave a blanket statement, one that's flawed. And now let me address the Gen Z problem. So Gen Zs are essentially people born in probably late 90s to early 2000s. What age group are they in now? They're in late 20s now. So people in the late 20s, that is not the time to buy a house because you wouldn't have gathered sufficient income. Right? So nobody buys houses in their 20s. Even when I was in my 20s, or probably maybe I might, because I come from the industry, I might not be a right TG. But remember, like, do we see to buy a house is a costly affair?
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's say at the right beginning of our career, will we go end up buying the most fanciest car
to pay
of our
EMI
life?
also you have
Exactly.
to pay.
We just won't have the income.
Yeah,
so house purchase is something which you don't do in your 20s.
Yeah.
20s is when you rent, which is where the Gen Zs are. Once they move into their 30s, which is another 5 to 7 years time, then you see the house purchase happening by them. Because if whatever you do, even if you say yes or no, everybody wants to have one own house on top of their head.
That still remains.
That's a fundamental human need across cultures, across geographies. You look at Europe, America, you look at East Asia, everywhere that's the thing. It's just that you buy houses in 30s and 40s, not in your 20s. Gen Zs are in 20s, logistically. Right? That's the reason. So when you do a research on Gen Zs, that's how it's going to come out. But do the same research after 7 years, then you see the change. That's one aspect. Second thing, yes, what's happening is, see, housing, you purchase for two things. One, for consumption. Matlab, you're going to buy and stay. Second is for investment.
Yeah.
Where we are failing as an industry is in the investment category. A lot of Gen Zs, and for that matter even millennials, a lot of that money is being put into the liquid instruments like the stock markets, equities, right? One, because the barriers to entry are zero, the convenience is huge, and next the tax advantage is also huge. Like for example, I buy a house and maybe after 5 years I sold it. I need to pay 23% capital gain tax versus I buy a stock and just after 2 years, in stock, I think it is 1 or 2 years only, the long-term format. I just need to pay 10% tax. So right in the tax, I end up saving 60%. So the way the tax structure is also set up, it's more conducive for equity ownership, not house ownership. And second thing, because developers as a industry have not really taken good care of their customers or been very brash about it, the next generation of customers who are Gen Zs do not, the general trust level is low and their understanding of the product is also low. One reason why I'm here, one of my motivation to come and talk is talk on behalf of my sector. There is still good money to be made in real estate. If somebody is planning for an 18% IRR on their investment, if they're planning to make 18% return, this industry has good room to offer it. Right? But nobody, declutters it. And Gen Zs want, and rightfully so, right? Gen Zs ke liye you need to, for any consumer for that matter of fact, you need to, explain it in a very layman's term. Yeah. So everything around housing or real estate has been an enigma. If it happens successfully, you're lucky. If not, you're one of the unlucky ones. So we have to declutter. We have to bring in more transparency. We have to bring in convenience through technology. Then, we can compete with any sector out there.
Now that you are here, let me use this opportunity to ask you this question. So if today anyone watching this conversation is thinking of investing, because a lot of, pandemic has also shown, the data shows that a lot of youngsters have also now started investing in equity market. It's become easier with the digital platforms. If they have to look at real estate and if investment, how should they go about it, and where do you think are the opportunities?
So a lot of opportunities in real estate are very micro. Matlab, you need to first zone in on a city, and then in a city a particular neighborhood. Right? Like I will tell you how we as a brand are doing that, because unlike most real estate companies which are asset light, we are asset heavy. Asset light matlab, you don't own the land, you go to a landowner and you partner for getting the land. In our case, we are asset heavy. We buy every land we build. So we can't go wrong with our data, and we invest anywhere from the tune of 150 to 500 crores. So we can't go wrong. We'll be doomed. So how we do it is we use a lot of technology. Like for example, we can use Google Map APIs, and I can do a simple search I can give a pin code and I can simply put a query, how many ATMs are there here? I can put a simple query, how many car showrooms are here? And what is the scale of cars they're selling? How many textile, like a South India shopping mall type of showrooms are there here, and what is the range of products? This is how we do it. So for a person who's investing in an apartment, particular apartment, this level of extensive research might not be needed, but definitely they can do a certain level of research, like what is the neighborhood looking like, particularly from the perspective of office space, schools, and social infra. Are there movie theaters? Are there like a park or maybe a mall or things like that? And then he or she can come to a rough understanding that, okay, if there is more forecast for those spaces in that neighborhood, then the neighborhood is set to grow. Then select a developer who's got a track record of delivering products. Don't go with a newbie developer because he'll give you the lowest price. Because somebody who's giving you the lowest price doesn't know what it costs. Hence, I can sell out at any price, and later I realize that I've done a lost trade and I'm not going to finish the project. So stick with developers who have finished projects, who have a track record of delivering projects. And then, probably I would say if you're looking for an investment perspective, buy at the earliest phase, right when the project starts. Exit after the project is handed over, maybe 6 months to 1 year, because that's when the habitability comes. Once the habitability comes, then you can exit, and you can make a good decent 18% IRR on your investment. Because see, again, housing purchase is something which usually runs on debt. Like for example, let's say I'm buying a house, it costs 100 rupees. Typically what happens, I as a consumer need to put down 20%, the rest 80% comes from the banker, home loan, right? And let's say at a very basic level, country mein inflation is around 6%. Right, 6% spread over 4 years is going to give you around, because it will be compounded, around 28% return in like 4 years time. Right, matlab this 100 rupees has become 128 rupees. Isme mera equity is 20 rupees. How much do I owe the bank? 80 rupees. Let's say another 10 rupees of interest I have paid. So 128, say 90 rupees you remove. What are you left with? 38. What did you invest? 20. So 20 has become 38, almost double in 4 years. What is the return rate? It's 20% plus minus. So there are ways to make money, but one has to first, as an industry, we need to educate the customer in that line.
Yeah, you have simplified this first time in my life for me also.
I hope you buy more houses.
Yeah, then. I will buy one house definitely. Yeah, wow. But this is what is required.
Exactly. We need to break, open it and keep it in plain language.
It becomes like such a mumbo jumbo, so complicated it becomes,
yes,
right?
Yes. And then the next aspect where we are realizing,
and I think you need to talk to women also.
Yes. We have done close to 600 exclusive digital ones and one-on-one interviews with women, and particularly with moms. One, I'm in that age where I have 2 kids. One is 4, the other is 1.5. So I know the entire the challenge in bringing up kids in this modern day environment where there's so much work all around, right? So as a community, when we did research, we found out that creche is a very, very needed space in current communities. And then we went into creche design. If you look creches in most communities, there are some shady place, like the storeroom which is not used for anything gets converted into a creche, which is very small. And second, in most of the places, it's not on the ground floor. So when we spoke with child psychologists, they told that, boss, any child space has to be at ground level, because children tend to run outside. From an indoor space, they always run out, especially in the 1 to 3 year phase. So it has to be on the ground floor, and then it has to be a certain size. That made us increase our size of creches from 1,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet. So 5x increase. And then all the related infrastructure, all the walls have to be padded, because children tend to run into things. All this nitty-gritty, and even the toilets have to be child size. The potties, we don't realize that all the potties are designed for adult size. It becomes very inconvenient for the children. So this is how there's a lot of product centricity in every aspect of it. We can really impact consumers' life.
You're like such an encyclopedia on this subject. I just can pick up a topic. Now tell me something. In India, where is it most easy to buy property and where is it most difficult?
I might not be the best person to answer this.
Just make a guess.
I would say maybe I'm biased towards Hyderabad, because there's a lot of reasonably good amount of digitization which is happening with the transaction process. But Bangalore equally is also good, because Bangalore has good builders. But together as a community, where I think we are still failing, or where we need to continuously go, is digitization of property. Right? Today you see, for example, you're buying stock, you probably open Zerodha app or something like that, just 2-3 clicks and you bought. Can you do the same with housing? Yes, you can. Today it's not there, but we have already begun doing it. Like for example, how do you digitize a property? A house has probably 5 to 6 set of documents. If those documents are digitized, your house is digitized. That's all it is, because the transfer happens through documents, something like a sale deed, something like a maintenance agreement,
but
or something like that.
But there's lots of forgery also that happens there, no?
This is where technology can come into play. Like, okay, let's assume forgery. How does forgery happen? Forgery can happen in 2 aspects. One, let's say you buy the stamp paper, the 100 rupee ka stamp paper kharidte na, jab hum agreement enter hote. You bought at some old date ka thing and you're entering into an old agreement. That too is one case of forgery. Next is somebody signed for you. This is where we as a company have begun using India is exceptionally there is your entire digitized KYC system. So using your Aadhaar and your mobile number linkage, an OTP goes and you digitally sign it. You no longer sign it physically in our company. So that that entire level is lifted off, the forgery is lifted off. And then even the stamp paper, now there are third party companies like Legality and all, where you buy these things online marketplace. So you can't even do a backdated agreement then. So we just write APIs. The minute a customer is born in our purchase the flat, automatically our API interacts with the Legality API. It only buys the stamp paper, format is done in that, sent to your WhatsApp, the OTP goes, you type the OTP, done, your agreement.
Wow. So you do that right now?
Yes, we are the only company in the country which is doing that.
Today, as a layperson, again, continuing on this conversation of buying a property, how do I know that something is
fishy about it?
Yeah, or a scam or not right, or a builder is not right. हम तो normal आम आदमी हैं.
So one is Shradha, see, RERA website में quite a lot of this information is disclosed. Right, that's your best place to go out, because builders can't lie there, and probably if they lie there, they're going to attract a lot of penalties and maybe even jail sometimes. Right, so a lot of information is disclosed there. And second thing is probably, that's where I say housing purchase is something which you go with a known player. A lot of the people who lost money in this field have a lot. Again, I'm not saying everybody. A lot of them have lost with newer people. Of course, there have been cases, particularly in NCR, where the established people themselves have screwed up and probably landed everybody in the soup.
That's why Khosla Ka Ghusla was there.
Oh, is it? Okay. In fact, the entire ERA law came because of the NCR brigade, what we call. So NCR has been very notorious. But again, why? Because there was a lot of political nexus around land.
Yeah.
Now that is going away and it's becoming a lot cleaner. Hence, the cleaner entrepreneur is going to come. He's on the way.
Yeah.
So you know that. So RERA is the best website, and probably a basic market research. Now there are a lot of third-party, blogs, right? For example, Indian Real Estate Board is one, which is extensively used in Hyderabad, and I believe so in Bangalore also, right? Where you can go and read comments around, any particular project, where the market comments or any real-time consumer comments on that. So that can be one place, and then third one is you can definitely, there are several WhatsApp groups around projects and all, which you can dig through information. Definitely, I do agree, it's not in a consolidated, synthesized manner. You want to buy a t-shirt, you simply type, you'll land on Amazon or Flipkart ka website, नीचे product description में सब कुछ होगा. Here it's still not that simple, but it's going there.
Tell me something, where do you see ASBL? Like one, of course, it's a tech company in real estate.
In real estate, yes.
And also SaaS play now that you have in US. You're also a builder. You're also doing the building, work, you buy the land, you do the construction. Where is your focus going to be? How are you imagining your future?
So at least for the next 2 to 3 years, we intend...
I have to ask, how are you imagining your happy future? In the happy cities.
Yeah, I would say everybody's happy future. Right? So if you ask me, from a company perspective, right, 2 aspects I want to talk about it. One is, like from a commercial sense, like in the perspective of top line, bottom line numbers, what is it that we want to do? Yeah. And next is the soul perspective, like what is it we as a company should, what ticks with us, what gives us satisfaction or happiness, as you put it, right? As first, I'll cover the numbers part. As numbers part, for the next 3 years, we intend to continue our penetration deeper into the Hyderabad market, right? Currently, we are in the east and west zone of Hyderabad. Probably down the line, we intend to penetrate deeper in these markets, improving our market share much more in those markets. And then we intend to, publicly list our company by 26, 27. And once we list, we'll have access to wider, much larger capital pool and wider financial tools. And then start exploring various other cities in the country. So that's our, I would say, our numbers approach.
So the story is just unfolding and beginning.
I hope so. Yes. That's
wow.
So we intend to list in 26, 27. And then when it comes to the soul of the company, what makes us happy, I think it should be around life in itself, right? So now I want I think the days of selling square footages are dying at a very unprecedented rate. The future is selling square feet embedded with services. right? It's not just selling a flat. It's selling your flat with a very good crash which is ready to be used. See, what happens with developer is that we are space providers. Matlab, I build your house and I give it off to you. The way you live is you live. I have got nothing to do there. The same thing with a crash or a supermarket. I just give a space and give it off. But a consumer doesn't get served by space. He gets served by the service provider. I need to even think what will be conducive for that particular business, like a crash service provider, to thrive there, right? Think about his viewpoint. Make sure he adds a 15 to 20% bottom line in his business. Only then the business serves, because a consumer consumes the business, not the space, the service. So you need space plus a service provider for the service to be delivered. So that's where we are heading. So that's what I see the future. And even things like, now we are beginning to do researches like, what is it that people do on weekends? How can we add to their value, right? Like at a convenience level, let's take a look at the 5-star hotel. So you go to a 5-star hotel, you're given a concierge manager. That you want to go somewhere, do some reservations, he or she gets it done. Our future is, can we, develop an AI system, a virtual home manager for you, who will manage your house for you, right?
Oh my God, that's amazing. Just
yeah, like it can be as simple as curating your daily grocery list to order. It's a very powerful tool, because that's where homemakers spend a lot of time.
And
even though,
honestly, Ajitesh, I don't know if you're noticing, people are now also staying alone also, right?
Yes.
क्या उसको कहते हैं?
Loneliness, nuclearized families,
and
yes.
individuals, people are getting married late or not marrying.
Exactly.
So that will be the trend also.
Yes. So imagine in such communities, right? Let's take, for example, the nuclear families. We have done some research in that line, and with the women we have done when we did research. So the way people are, probably interacting these days has got to do a lot. A lot of women still continue interact in the kitty party format, right? And then there is no facility for kitty party anywhere in any community. Then we started, because this we found out when we were doing our user surveys, user research, and then we actually went and attended few kitty parties. Arre, kya hota hai kitty parties?
मुझे भी नहीं पता.
Right? If you look at kitty parties, what happen is essentially, whoever is hosting, she cooks the food. Ideally, if there's a bigger kitty of 15-20 people, 2 or 3 people cook the food, and then they invite people over, all the other ladies, to their house, and 15-20 people come, and they're all sitting in pockets of 6 or 7 depending on the space, and they're eating food, playing games, chit-chatting, about, say, various aspects, women health and their family issues or anything. It's just like any of these clubs.
It's women coming together.
Women coming together. So we thought like, okay, why can't we think of providing a space for that? Yeah. Then immediately then the first concept of kitty party is potlocking. Right? Okay, then we got up a space. So kitty party is where few people will come together to cook and chit chat while cooking. Just that this facility of an apartment is not built for that. So now we designed a 3,000 square feet of space, 2,000 to 3,000 depending on the context, called living room. Right? Essentially, that's a open kitchen with a large set of furniture and sofa where 20 to 25 people can come together, cook and enjoy.
It's in your buildings?
It's in our buildings. So this, as a feature, think about this in the context of a phone as a 30 megapixel camera. This is a feature, right? This is something which architects or nobody tell us. Nobody knows this. This we'll only know when we talk with the consumer, how he or she is living their life and how we can give infrastructure to accentuate that. Right? Currently, the kitty party is happening in your living room where only 6 people will fit. Then the other 6 people are sitting in some other room. So essentially, you're bifurcating into groups versus one good space where you can cook and talk at the same time. Yeah. And if you look broaderly, right, at a human species level, across cultures and across geography, I've been reading books and I've been interested in philosophy at time of college also, is that the social aspect of human species revolved fundamentally around 2 things: food and religion. These 2 have been very pivotal to the human evolution, right? So these are some of the facilities we are giving around cooking. So your day-to-day cooking you might want to do in your kitchen, in isolated format, because day-to-day hustle is different. But when you're interacting, you need the infrastructure. Because the infrastructure is not there, that interaction is stopping.
Wow.
And
that's why people say, oh, in building to log baat nahi karte.
Because you're not given the reason for them to talk, in the first case. So, and then second thing you see, then came around religion. So we started doing research and we realized that a lot of people are asking for temples in the community. Then we started giving temples. Then we realized, just by giving temple, what happens? Okay, people just come, pray in isolation and go away. But I come, I pray and go. Usse, how am I going to know my neighbor better? वो तो नहीं होता है ना. So that's when we realized that, we need a service provider. Who is a service provider here? The pujari. The pujari is a service provider, and what does the service provider bring? He brings the calendar list of all the pujas, abhishekams, Prasad's an annual calendar. That is service providing.
Wow.
What's happening? He's a service provider. So
Yeah.
we tied up with Kanchi Matam. Boss, you come and I'll give all the facility. You come and operate. You're a service provider for me. Next, we realized, okay, what else do temples need? If you look at all the ancient temples, especially Tirupati, where I've been to a lot of times, now it's not used like that, but ancient, historically how it was used, a lot of our temples it's more like a temple complex. So you have a Bada Mandapam sort of thing where you do Indian form of arts, like Carnatic music, Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, yoga, and these sort of things. So we are now rebranding it as the workshop. So the workshop for us comes within the temple complex. So there you have Bharatanatyam, storytellers, and we are signing up with storytellers to come and read stories in our building.
Amazing.
So this is what we want. Like, see, these things have to be now curated. See, essentially, I see a lot of people now doing like for example, what does the YouTube feed do? It curates content for you.
Actually, you are creating happy buildings.
Yes, that's so, because it's not just the building. Building is like the body. The soul is all these things. The body with the soul moves and engages with the world. That's how we see it.
Wow.
So in fact, we are even talking with a few, again in the line of food, we are talking now. Food has become an art, and there are a lot of great chefs who are experimenting with cuisines. I recently came across one person. Sorry, I forgot her name. She's from Bombay. So she's a very famous chef, and she does very curated form of cooking, very artisan cooking. So we are signing up with people like this and to host sessions in our communities, right? So that life there becomes enjoyable. Right, if you look at, and this is something we learned by talking with people, and some even from the co-living guys. The co-living guys.
You are such a thoughtful builder, and it's such an oxymoron. Empathetic, thoughtful builder.
Yeah, to start with, we were not like that. Eventually, our customers got that.
But your strength, you realize your strength is that you have a very strong observation and a very deep, grounded way of seeing things, and I think that also helps in business, right?
It does. I think, see, Shradha, the age of businesses running behind numbers also is somewhere pretty much, I would say, on the dead end, right? Though it looks headline capturing when we get some debt or some equity funding or some valuation ka game, but there's no real meaning to it, and there's no real, definitely money is not a sign of intelligence. That's predominantly proven worlds over. I think fundamentally, I'm an emotional person, and I think an emotional person has super advantage in business, because ultimately money to aa jayega, if not today, tomorrow, but ultimately your ability to feel for your customer or feel for the whom you're serving is ultimately more important, right? And that's why I'm saying we are dealing with the most influential product in a consumer's life, be it from investment standpoint or a consumption standpoint. There's nothing which beats our product. We just have to realize it.
Yeah, no, you are a thoughtful builder, because what you're building is also actually helping, not giving building, but also building lives, right?
Exactly. In fact,
experiences, emotions, everything.
And then you see, like in the community, like for example, I'll say another thing. In the community where I stay, there are a lot of Korean expats, right? I think there might be around 30 to 50 families. And then they mingle amongst them. I think 30 families. They mingle amongst themselves and all. So as a community, we never celebrate any Korean festival. Imagine if you celebrate a Korean festival, what happens? They come, and the few excited beings who want to explore different things, 20%, they go. And when you go there, you talk with them. Maybe after 2 weeks, you invite them over to your house. You go to their house. Bonds develop like that,
and
right?
then they go back to Korea and they say that, look, this place is the place.
And then aapka festival ko wo log aayenge. Because humans crave social connections, and festivals were created for this purpose.
Yeah.
So that we are doing in a modern context.
Yeah, now you tell me, if someone has to now give us the secret. Now we are so sold and so happy with this ASBL. Now if we have to buy ASBL property, how expensive are you?
So I would say 80% of our products is in the upper mid segment to,
Which is how much?
Which is 2 crore. In Hyderabad context, it's 2.5 crore is upper mid segment to luxury segment. 75% is there. 1/4 is in the affordable segment. In Hyderabad, affordable is around 50 to 75 lakh segment. So that's how we are. And I see going forward, these, at least for the next 3 years, these numbers are going to stay intact.
But then if someone buys, I'm also saying 18% IRR?
Yes, you will get your 18% IRR.
Wow.
Simple, right? I have just taken nothing. See, currently the markets, real estate markets, last 2-3 years have been growing crazy. I have just done math at inflation level. Inflation is 6% in the ecosystem. जो math मैंने आपको बताया वो 6% पे ही है. If it happens more, good for you. But inflation though, it will adjust. Inflation chasing though, real estate will do mota moti. With a good builder, you can get that returns.
You know, Ajitesh, I'm so
I hope more people looking at this invest in Hyderabad through us.
Yes, I think Hyderabad is the place.
So
I know, I hear about Hyderabad. That
like how FDI, we can say DDI, domestic foreign direct investment, domestic direct investment into
in
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. Through ASBL, in ASBL.
Yeah.
Ajitesh, it's been an honor. Honestly, I'm like so excited because I've learned a lot. And today you have demystified a lot of things. But most importantly for us, what we are taking is that we have an ASBL from India. One, you are now going global. And also that one thing that is conversation is honesty ko dekhkar hum sab kahenge ki you are helping change our perception about the sector and the possibilities what it brings for the country. Yeah. So thank you.
We can build at an India where the world aspires to come. Because I think, see, so far we have been outsourcing technology out and all of this. I think we should even start outsourcing happiness. Happiness should become, should be understood at a much deeper level so that you can scale it. Happiness should be scaled.
Why
so,
not? Why not? And all the very best in your mission, because it's very powerful, and may you go on to win, because you win, then I think a lot of people will win and be happy.
Thank you so much, Shradha. Thank you so much for your time, and it's been a pleasure talking with you. Namaste.
Thank you. Thanks.